I'm Nikki from Find Me Crafting. One of my favorite hobbies, outside of crafting of course, is reading. And I'm a firm believer that anyone who says they don't like reading just hasn't found the right book series yet. This year, my son challenged our family to all set reading goals with an overall goal of reading at least 150 books as a family. I tried to sweeten the deal even more by telling them that anyone who wanted one could have one of these book ornaments. It's the greatest ornament of all time. This is covers of all of the books I've read this year. How fun is that? And if you want, you can add personalization, the person's name, the year that they read all these books. And on the front, I used vinyl to write how many books I've read this year. These ornaments are easy to find in different sizes. So if you've read more books, there's an ornament for that. If you've read less books, there's an ornament for that. I'm going to show you how to make a really easy template that is going to make it so fast to find these book covers and get them ready to print out. These would be the greatest gifts for book club members, Battle of the Books participants, new readers, librarians, any book lover. This is a quick, really fun project. Come on, I'll show you how. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any new patterns or projects. Here's what you're going to need for supplies. You are, of course, going to need an ornament. These are both plastic fillable ornaments. And for me, the determining factor in which one to use is just going to be how many books you want to fit inside. This is a 4-inch ornament. It does open differently. This part pops off. You will be constrained by this opening. That'll determine how big your books can be. And so far this year, I've read 41 books. When I put 41 into this ornament, it came a little less than half up, which does give me room to add more by the end of the year. But I decided I wanted a slightly smaller ornament so that my book collection looks a little more impressive. Now, 41 ornaments in this ornament looks pretty full, but still has enough room to shake and shift it around so you can read the book titles. This is a 3-inch ornament, and this one opens up like this. So you could make your books smaller or larger depending on what you wanted to do, but they'll all fit because it opens from the side. And I will say that this particular ornament, when I get to the end of the year and I have filled it up with all of the ornaments I have read for the entire year down to the very last day, I am going to use some crazy glue or some E6000 glue to glue this shut so I know it's not going to get bumped and accidentally opened going into the new year. You're also going to need some ribbon. I'm using 3/8 inch wide red velvet ribbon. The reason I'm choosing velvet is because I know I can pretty easily iron onto this with the name and the year. If you're creating a bow, you're going to want some glue dots or some hot glue to glue your bow onto the ornament at the end. You will need sheets of sticker paper. The number of sheets that you need will be entirely determined by how many books you are putting in the ornament. Each sheet from me will hold 64 book covers. You will need foam core board. The ones that I bought are a little bit longer and a little bit narrower than the average sheet of paper, but they are the perfect width. These are 3 millimeters wide, and I think make a really awesome width for a book. You will need a cutting mat such as this one. I'm using a Cricut True Control blade. You could also use an X-Acto knife. And you're going to want a cutting ruler. Mine has this handle on it that makes me feel like I'm less likely to cut into my own hand, but you can just use the ruler itself. If you want to iron a name or the year onto the ribbon itself, you will also need some heat transfer vinyl, a Cricut cutting mat, a weeding tool, a heat safe surface. I'll be using a Cricut Easy Press heat mat. You also need a way to iron it on. You can use a regular iron. I really love using the Cricut Easy Press Mini Heat Press. This thing is phenomenal, works very quickly, and gives you a lot of control over where you're placing heat. And if you wanted to put the number of books like I am doing on the outside of the ornament, you would need some regular adhesive vinyl and transfer tape. Let's get started making a template that will make this project 100% easier. Go to canva.com and create a free account if you don't already have one. Although they do have a paid account you can sign up for, you won't need it for this project. This website is one of my favorite crafting tools because it makes it so easy to create printables and images. Once you are into Canva, click on the Create Design button in the upper left corner. A box will open that allows you to select what type of design you would like to create. Select Custom and then type in 8.5 inches wide and 11 inches tall, and then click Create New Design. When the new blank design has opened, click Elements on the left, and in the search box above, type Rectangle Frame. You should be able to find a rectangle with a landscape graphic inside. Click this to add it to your project. Next, click and drag one of the corners to shrink it down until the measurements are 0.8 inches wide and 1.2 inches tall. You could make these smaller or larger depending on how many books you're adding to the ornament. This is just what worked for me. I like to place this rectangle to the left and within the margin so I know it will print out without getting cut off. Click on the rectangle itself and a small menu will pop up above it. Click on the Duplicate button to create a copy of the rectangle. Line the new rectangle up just next to the original with the sides just touching. Repeat this process until you have 8 rectangles in that row. Click on the screen and drag a box over all 8 rectangles, and then click the Duplicate button again. Position the second row of rectangles just below the first 8 so that they're just touching. Repeat this process until you have 8 rows. This is your template. If you're adding more than 64 books, click on the Duplicate Page button just above the page on the right side. Continue adding pages until you have enough for all the books. It's a good idea to make a copy of the page either way, because then you have a blank canvas ready to go when you want to make a second or a third ornament. Let's add the book covers. The fastest, easiest way to do this is to use a Goodreads account. This is a free website where you can track all your books, add ratings, read reviews, etc. Open a second tab on your computer to go to the website, and if you haven't already, sign up. It's free. Next, add all the books you've read to what Goodreads calls a bookshelf. This bookshelf is going to save all your book information in one spot. When you've added in all the book titles without closing the Goodreads tab on your browser, click on the split screen button in the upper right corner of your browser. It looks like a rectangle with a line through the middle. Select the tab with the Canva page on it, and bam, you're looking at both Canva and Goodreads on the same screen. Within Canva, click on the Uploads button on the left, and then drag and drop the book covers from the Goodreads side of your screen to the Canva side in the upload box. In moments, you can have all of your book cover images uploaded to Canva, ready to use. If you don't have a Goodreads account or don't want to use one, you could find the book covers online and save the images of the covers to your computer. You could then upload these images into Canva. You can close the split screen and use just Canva now. Click on the Uploads and you should see all of the book covers. Click on one of the covers and drag it over to a rectangle frame. It will automatically drop into the frame and size it correctly. Just continue adding book covers until all the books are on the page. If you have less books than the rectangle frames, just delete the extras. The next step is to download the design you just made. Do this by clicking on the Share button in the upper right corner of Canva and pressing the Download button. From the File Type drop-down menu, you want to select PDF Print and then press the purple Download button. This will download your design into your download folder on your computer. Next up is to print 2 copies of the design onto sticker paper. You want the book cover on both sides of the foam core board, so any which way you turn the ornament, you're seeing book covers. You can open the file and print it on your home printer, or save the file and take it and the sticker paper to a print shop. Once you have your books all printed out on your sticker paper, it's time to attach the stickers to the foam core board. I'm going to peel the backing of the sticker paper off just one copy of the books and line it up and put it down on the foam core board. It is going to overlap a little bit and be kind of wonky just because the sticker paper is a regular sheet, regular paper size, and the foam core board is just a slightly different size. So I'm just going to smooth it all down. And now it's time to cut out the covers of the books. So I'm going to place my ruler on top. I'm going to line it up with the edge of my books, get it all straight. And I'm going to use my Cricut True Control blade to slice right down here using my ruler to make a straight line. And just one pass cuts right through it. You might need 2 passes, but it's pretty quick. It's pretty easy. And I'm just going to go around and cut my books out. After I finish cutting out about 1 row's worth of the books, I like to stop, and now I'm going to cut out the back covers from the second copy of the books. This way I don't have to go searching for which book it goes to. I know it's going to be one of these. I find it easiest to cut apart my back covers with a pair of scissors, a little bit faster. And to peel off the backs, if you use one of these tiny little pinprint weeding tools, you can just stab it through the backing and peel it up away from the sticker. Line up your book and stick down your back cover. And if you have any where there's a little bit of extra white on one side, you don't even need the ruler. You can just carefully press down and cut across it. It kind of acts as its own ruler because it's 3 millimeters wide, and there it looks pretty perfect. If you want to add a name, year, and number of books to your ornament, it's time to open design software. Since I have a Cricut, I use Design Space. Pick a font and type the person's name, the year, and the number of books in separate text boxes. Size them up so the name and year will fit onto the ends of your ribbon, and the number of books will fit onto the front of the ornament. Cut the name and year out of heat transfer vinyl and the number of books out of adhesive vinyl. Attach the adhesive vinyl with transfer tape and weed the heat transfer and get it ready to iron on. If you need help with any of these steps, I'll have a link for a tutorial for vinyl down in the description box down below and one for heat transfer. Next step is to add some ribbon. I'm going to cut about 12 inches. I'm going to slide one end through the hole. And I'm going to tie a knot up here so that my hanger is ready. So I'm going to trim off my excess here, make my ends look pretty, and now I'm going to lightly burn the ends of my ribbon. You can already see that it's fraying a bit from where I cut it, but if you do that, it stops all the fraying. For adding the name and the year on, I'm going to create a bow. I do this by leaving the ribbon attached and making 2 equal-sized loops. Then I wrap one around the other and thread that loop through the bottom loop that I just made. Pull it out the back, tighten up, and play with it a bit. Once you've got that looking the way you want it to, you can test it out at the top here. I'm going to cut some fairly long tails at this point. I'll come back and cut them shorter once I iron on what I need to iron on. I've got my Cricut heat mat underneath my bow, and I'm going to use some parchment paper on top just so I make sure that I don't burn my velvet ribbon, and it requires very little heat to transfer this. Yep, and that side is done. You can trim off your excess, leaving yourself a tail. I'm going to also burn these edges. And now this is ready to hot glue on or use a glue dot to adhere to the top of your ornament. And because I want my ends to be popped up a little bit like this, kind of looks a little bit fancier, I am using half a glue dot on each end of my ribbon. And I'm just going to pop it up just a little, give it a little bit of movement, and then stick that down. I like that. You can always move it if you don't. And there she is. I love these such a ridiculous amount that I predict I will be making a lot more of these in the years to come. Happy crafting!